Mounce, BBG, chapter 22, sentence 10. We are almost there. As you kind of pick apart the sentence, you're going to see that there's a quote. So we'll treat this first chunk, and then of course what he quotes is all down here, and he gives you a couple of the verbs, so that should be reasonably easy. We want to take a look at the rest of the verbs and make sure we get it right. So, apokrythe, you already know. You hopefully have memorized that as he answered. But you see Jesus as the subject, and that's pretty obvious, as you're kind of glancing around. So Jesus answered them. Now again, autois in the dative plural. So you're going, it's a dative. Jesus answered to them, no. Here's your collocation rule at work again, that verbs of communication and cognition often take their direct object in the dative. So you're going to translate it as a direct object, even though it's in the dative, because it follows a verb of communication. All right. So obvious verb of communication. So Jesus answered them, and he said. And again, realizing this one, you should know more about it. You memorized the form early on, but you should know more about it now, because you should see that epsilon nu, know that it's third singular. You should know that it comes from apon, which is actually the aorist stem of lego, one of those freaky verbs that changes radically from lego to arrow in the future to apon in the aorist. But with an epsilon nu, it's got to be third singular. So simply translated as he said. Jesus answered them and said. And hopefully you recognize this phrase, of course, truly, truly, I say to you. Very, very easy one there. Recognizing that one as a dative as well. Second person pronoun, plural. And then here's what he says to them. He says, y'all, right? Y'all do what? Y'all seek. And in this particular instance, you're dealing with a present, because if you know the verb, you're looking at zeteo, which is a contract verb. And that's also told to you by the fact that you've got a circumflex here. The tau epsilon tells you that it's second plural. Hopefully by now that's real easy for you. And once you know it's from zeteo, there's no stem change, so it's just a present, second person plural present. So y'all seek me, all right? So why do y'all seek me? Not because edita, okay? Edita, well, what do you know about it? You know that it's second plural, right? So as soon as you see the tau epsilon, you know it's second plural. What is it from? Hopefully you recognize it as coming from Adon. And you say, well, Adon, again, take out your freaky verb sheet and say, look down to our horao, and horao goes to opsimi in the future, which goes to Adon in the aorist. So another one that changes radically, but, like I said, as far as seeing, all over the New Testament, so you're going to recognize it. You're going to come to recognize it so easily you won't even think about it anymore. And that should be the case here. So not because y'all saw, right, because it's an aorist. What did y'all see? Or y'all saw signs. And here, recognize this as a neuter plural, and it's got to be accusative, because it would not, there's no way that it can be a you, right? No way it can be a y'all. So you don't have subject verb agreement. So semia has to be direct object, has to be accusative. All right, process of elimination. So and then moving forward, and we'll come back and put it all together here. But because, and then you have y'all ate, and he gives you this one, but let me just pick it apart a little bit. And what you see is you're thinking, may or may not be an augment, but this kind of thing. What does this come from? And I don't think you've had it yet, but I'll help you out with it. You do see that it's second plural, so it's y'all. He gives it to you as y'all ate, and I'm not positive whether or not you've memorized estheo yet, but estheo is a very interesting one. Um, because what happens with it is it goes from estheo, which is an active present stem, to phagomai, phagomai in the future, which is deponent, to ephagon, which is active in the aorist. So, that this is one that kind of switches back and forth. And again, it's another reason it's on the freaky verb sheet is because it changes pretty radically. So, in any case, he does give it to you, but I just want to help you see, sort of see what you're dealing with here. And then what did y'all eat? You ate of or from and then from artos, bread, but it's technically, this is a genitive plural, right? So you ate of the breads, if you were to do it, more precisely. Now, we don't talk about it that way, so it's certainly fine to translate that as though it's singular, because we treat bread as, there's a bunch of bread, and we still say bread. So that's not a problem, but I would hope you would recognize that as a plural. And then he says, and y'all were satisfied, and he gives you that verb. So I won't mess with that at this point. Once again, then, so Jesus answered them and said, truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me not because y'all saw signs, but because y'all ate of the bread or breads, and y'all were satisfied.